Okay, let's get the car in the garage. And if you're new here, this is a 2010. Battery a little weak, it's been sitting a while. So the first step before we do this job is relieving the fuel pressure. If you skip this step, because the entire fuel system is under constant pressure, even when the vehicle is off, once you remove the injector, you're going to just douse yourself with fuel. Very, very easy to do. Also, if you're doing this because maybe you have a misfire, but you don't know which cylinder is what, cylinders 1 and 3, passenger side, 2 and 4 is the driver's side. You can even see the numbers here. So 2 and 4, 1 and 3. So over here is a fuse box. There we go. And if we flip this over, sometimes these action cams aren't the best close up. But on the bottom right, roughly the 4 o'clock, we see a 15 amp. That's this guy right there. Also a good time to clean out these leaves. Okay, that's it. Okay, relieve the fuel pressure here. Okay. So that's the fuse. The flip side is removing the fuel pump relay on this vehicle that's under the passenger side dash. Then what we're doing, final step, just remove the fuel filler cap. Oh, this came off. Okay. So in this case, let's tackle the passenger side. It's just, there's more room, it's easier for me to film, and you can see precisely what I'm doing. If you're looking to replace any injectors on the driver's side, you just have to simply remove the battery and then follow the rest of the steps. If you want another guide on how to remove the battery and get access to removing the spark plug wires and etc., years ago I did a spark plug replacement video. I'll link it now, and you'll see in very, very high quality HD detail how to get access to both the driver and the passenger side. But today, just for simplicity, let's do it. And I've said it before many times, if you're looking for an easy DIY friendly vehicle, you can't go wrong with these boxer engines on a modern Subaru. This is a 2010. I recently showed a 2018 Crosstrek. You know, typically it's pretty much a decade apart regarding the generations, but the architecture is almost identical. You know, instead of metal, now it's plastic, but the architecture is the same. Super, super friendly. Parts are cheap. You can find parts everywhere. And, you know, that's the biggest drawback on when vehicles get older, finding parts. For example, on the CTS-V, finding parts for the body, you know, suspension, for example, discontinued. Interior components, discontinued. You know, certain, I was looking at recently, before I jump into that, right here, there's a 10 mil, if you're ever curious on how to get this out. 10 mil here, there's a 10 mil here, which broke off years ago. Okay, but recently when I did the clutch on the V, I wanted to replace the carrier bearing, which essentially is just because it has a two-piece drive shaft. There's a carrier bearing, and that's discontinued for the car. They make it for the V6, but not the V, and it just, you know, it's frustrating. So with a car like this, so easy to find parts. So easy. Never, never, never once did I have a problem. Okay. This pops out like so. And this vehicle does not have a problem regarding the injectors. I'm just doing this again as a how-to. Trying to wrap up a couple things before I sell the vehicle. So this just cleans up, opens up all of this room. Don't forget, these are numbered, 1 and 3, but if you do get them confused, just label them, okay? So these are spark plug wires. They are not coils, ignition coils. The newer Subarus are indeed, but these older ones have just these wires. Old school. So if you're doing this on the driver's side, it's identical. You're just removing the battery, and then it's a mirror image of what you're going to see here. Okay, that's number 1. And then we have number 3. Okay? Now we have a fuel pipe protector, okay? So that's this metal plate. 1, 2, 3. And then there's a 4th one over here. These are 12 mil. Now you have this harness connector for the front air fuel sensor. On the back, a lot of times guys just break these. There's no need to. On the back, there's a little prong. Okay, hold on. See this, where my finger is pressed towards you, and this pops out. Let me see if I can do it here, like that. Okay, so this guy right here, you just press this down. That's all you do, and that's out of the way. So 1, 2, 3. There's a 4th one. Remove the plate. So these have never been removed before. It may be a little stubborn. So instead of killing my hands trying to crack this loose, I just have a 17 mil 1/2 inch drive socket with an extension. Place over that. Okay, gives me leverage to easily break these loose. Of course, I will list all of the tools as usual in the description box below. And then we can get access to the injectors. I mean, look how simple this is, guys. I mean, there's no... If you're just comfortable enough and you're willing to try it, I'm telling you, you'll save thousands doing the work yourself over the long term of owning the vehicle. That's a guarantee. Okay, so this is injector for cylinder 1, injector for cylinder 3. Now, something just came to mind. If maybe you have an issue, you have a trouble code for an injector, always check. So on the bottom, there's a harness connector. Press up and pull. If you have a trouble code, let's say 301, and you want to check, you want to verify if power is getting to the injector. In other words, maybe you have a wiring issue. There we go. You have a wiring issue. Let me show you. So when you turn on the ignition key, and once ultimately the vehicle's running, power is being sent to this harness connector. And if you have a cut here, maybe in the back, maybe there's some wires pinched, who knows, anything can happen. You want to verify that power is getting there. Let me show you how you can do that super easy. In fact, one of my favorite channels is Dave's Auto Center. I mean, these guys are professionals. I'm a DIYer, which for the most part I can get around things, but these guys, man, they work on diesel trucks, and man, I mean, it's amazing what these guys can do. But ultimately, they had a vehicle yesterday, GMC Sierra, I think it was, a 2018 or so. Someone did work before, and when they reinstalled, I think it was the AC compressor, it was pinching on a wire loom. And that's all it takes. Something that someone did in the past, if it cuts into that wire, just finding the break can be, you know, quite expensive. So check your wiring. Digital multimeter, these are like 25 bucks. I'll link it below. Okay, so if this is new to you on the multimeter, you want the volts. Just make sure it's set for DC and not AC. So right now we're on DC. All that we're going to do is turn the ignition key on and verify that this is getting power. That's all we're doing. So every meter comes with 2 leads. Just plugging in the leads, and then to make things a little bit easier, I'm going to use a probe kit. You don't have to, you can use a paper clip because these fittings are so small. But I have a probe kit, so might as well use it. This is maybe, I don't know, $8, $10 if you want to invest in one. So this is just a time saver because these leads are so small. I don't know which one is the power. So we'll just try this one first. It won't hurt anything because it's just a reading. Okay. So that red lead is going directly to the multimeter. Okay. And then from the multimeter, black is your ground. Always check. This takes only a few minutes. You just want to verify you're getting power. You know, why waste your time if the injector's fine and you have a wiring issue? Okay. So we should see roughly 10, probably 10 volts, something like that. Okay, make sure you guys can see that. Let me find the ground. Let's see if we see a reading here. Hold on. And there you go. 12. 11.9 volts. So this is getting power. We know that we have no wiring issues. So now we can remove the injectors. So you have this injector pipe, and then you have, ultimately you see how the fuel comes in, and then it easily goes into number 3 and number 1. So there's 2 fasteners, one here and one here. Both of these are 12. Just place some towels underneath to catch any fuel. I'm just putting on some safety glasses just in case. You never know. And I have to say, this has been a very reliable car to us. The only fault point being on these older Subarus, of course, the head gaskets, and the catalytic converter, because it burns oil, these boxer engines. But other than that, I mean, every sensor on this vehicle is still original. Every single one. Okay, this comes off. See a little fuel come out. One thing I will note, really what I should have done. See this, you know, you have some dirt. If you plan on doing this, just get rid of that dirt first, you know, little brake clean, whatever you have, just clean off that dirt because you don't want that dirt going into the fuel system. So I'll make sure it's really clean when I reinstall everything. There we go. A little fuel pops out, but not a lot. So this is injector number 1. All right, now we need to test the injector. So 2 ways you can do this, really, or there's 2 separate things you can do. First thing is with the multimeter, and you want the ohms setting. That's the symbol, the omega symbol. Now, according to Subaru, a good injector should read 5 to 20 ohms. So if you look on the, so this is where the harness connector plugs into the injector. You have 2 harnesses, or 2 prongs, I should say. I'm just taking one lead from the multimeter, touching, in this case, the right lead. With the black, we'll touch the left lead, and we should see 5 to 20 ohms, okay? So here we go, watch the meter. And we have 12.5 ohms. That's within spec. Again, does not matter where red is touching and black is touching. If I reverse this, it doesn't make a difference when you take an ohms reading, okay? There you go, same reading. As long as you test that power's getting to the injector from the harness connector, that's when we turned on the ignition key. You want to check that. Check the resistance of the injector. And then if you want to go one final step, it would be checking the spray pattern. Now that you need a machine, I've seen them online for less than $100. I don't have one here, unfortunately. But typically, if the injector goes bad, it's going to be out of that ohms reading. But that would be the final step. You can even clean these. I showed that years ago on the S2000. And I just used, what was that stuff? It's actually really good stuff. Purple Power, is that what it's called? Purple Power. Q-tips, toothbrush. Cleaned them really well, and that car ran excellent with that had over 170,000 miles. So I'm just going to clean this up. The other thing to note is you have a couple of O-rings. You want to replace the O-rings. In fact, I have a set here. Let me show you. So it's always a good idea to replace the O-rings, but the manual specifically states to at least replace the bottom one. So this is the one that places into the engine, and then the fuel rail comes up on top here. You could buy a set of these O-rings, and you know, this actually looks to be, you can see, I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up. There's some cracking, a little cracking, but that was really from me removing it. So these were still actually in pretty good shape after 15 years, almost 200,000 miles. So let's reinstall it. We'll start it up, make sure there's no leaks, and that's it. Now before we fire this up, I've reinstalled the fuse for the fuel pump. Let's place this over here. And I'm going to leave this open. It's going to throw the check engine light for the mass airflow sensor because it lives in this air intake tube, but that's perfectly fine. I want to keep this open because if anything is leaking, hold on, if anything is leaking, I want to find it now before it's too late. Everything looks good, it's nice and dry.